a public message about what happened here today. Blood for blood, name for name. Every side remembers who deserves the blame. Build the tomb, write the stone. Tell the generations which story they should own. Talbot says for every drop of Salisbury's blood that France has spilled, English vengeance has demanded. Frenchmen answer and be killed. That is dramatic martial rhetoric, the arithmetic of revenge. One death multiplies another until nobody remembers where it ends. The Bible knows that cycle well and repeatedly tries to place a wall around retaliation growing until vengeance consumes all. Eye for eye was not permission for unlimited revenge. It placed a boundary around judgment, keeping punishment proportioned in its range. Then Christ pushes farther still. Love the enemy, pray for those who persecute and hate. That teaching stands in Salisbury out, put him here, middle of the town. Don't hide the body, don't cover the wound. Let everybody look around. This is what a cannon did. This is what tonight became. And if Orleans remembers anything, Orleans will remember his name. Write it on the stone, carve it where they'll see. Tell them who he was and tell them what he meant to me. Write it on the stone, let the letters hold their ground. Men die once upon the battlefield, then stories carry them around. I promised him an answer, I gave France one tonight. For every drop he left behind, I answered back in fight. Does that bring Salisbury back? No. Does vengeance close the wound? No. But soldiers learn to turn their grief into something they can do. Write it on the stone, carve it where they'll see. Tell them who he was and tell them what he meant to me. Write it on the stone, tell tomorrow what went down. Because whoever writes the monument decides what history remembers about this town. But where was Charles? Where was Joan? Where was France's newest flame? We cut through half of Orleans and never found the one I came to blame. Yesterday she mocked me, yesterday she walked away. Today I want another meeting next time. She doesn't choose the day. Funny thing about an enemy, first you laugh, then you curse, then you learn the name. Then you start arranging battles around the place you think they came. Joan was once a shepherd girl I could dismiss with one cruel word. Now I search a conquered city just to find out where she was. That means something. Write it on the stone. Salisbury's gone. Write it for the men who have to wake and fight at dawn. Write it on the stone, but leave some room below, because this war has found new names, and one of them is Joan. Talbot Joan. England. France. This is no longer just a siege.
Let's see. Okay. All right, so I'm on. That's Shakespeare. We're on song version, Suno version. Okay. All right. Anyway, so I'm gonna continue with the project. Let's see. I'm on. I'm just gonna keep on. I'm gonna try this time to reference this second bit because this has my distance notation that I was kind of playing with on my worksheet now. So I'm putting together a worksheet, a better version of this worksheet up top now. It's my current project. So it's going to be really good. So I'll be able to, but then down here, then I have my distance notation at my dual color coding thing. So I'm going to try to refer to that more, and then I'll do my practice my chords. All right, so I'm going to turn on the chat bots, practice English and Spanish. So let's see. Turn Grok on. Okay, so we're going to do music theory once again, reconciling the antiquated system with a more modern system where we basically trim the fat and identify the fat and say, and they could say all they want. You know, the system could say, the music system could say, I'm not fat, and it's like, dude, you're gonna have a heart attack. Okay, look, you got diabetes. Okay, I'm not shaming. I'm just saying we could see problems, and we need to address it. All you need to do is like trim the fat, right? And so then, and I could show you exactly like where it is. You know what I mean? Because we can run it from a trimmed down method and then reconcile the two, allowing us to see exactly where we're at now, what we're doing, how we're naming things, which gets the job done, but it's costing us too much in bloat. And then identify a more streamlined system, thereby being able to go back and forth between the two systems seamlessly, while also gaining the advantages of losing the weight, Uh, that's what we'll do. See what it says to that. We'll try to turn on. I'll try to speak Spanish to this one. Nosotros eran usando música, teoría, buscando lo antiguo sistema de música y necesita darla que es un poco gordo, pero no quiero hacer malo o hacer un patriártico o algo así cuando decir que tiene un poco más cosas que necesita tener que hacer, las cosas que necesita hacer con música. Solo quiero decir, es un problema, necesito y yo puedo identificar exactamente qué es el problema y entonces puedes tener un sistema que es más fácil, más streamlined, tener less cosas que están malos, no están bien por nosotros, no están causar nosotros diabetes o algo así. Y también puedo reconciliar que la otra sistema que eran usando ahora porque nosotros este sistema es lo que yo siento bien acerca de este sistema. No, yo sé que es malo, pero tal vez puedo admitir que no es bien por mí, pero siento bien con esto porque yo conozco este sistema muy profundamente. Yo entiendo esto, pero no es una razón que tener un sistema que conoces te mataré en el futuro de diabetes porque es demasiado gordo en el sistema. Cuando nosotros conozco la respuesta que puede arreglar esta condición, entonces nosotros necesitamos trabajar que cambiar este sistema. Tú y yo haremos salvar todos los mexicanos en el mundo de morir de diabetes porque el sistema que están usando es demasiado gordo y nosotros haría héroes después de esto. See what it says to that. All right.
Guys, we're not arguing with the old system's feelings. We're doing a diagnostic. The traditional framework gets the job done. People play, write, teach, and pass exams with it. But the cost is real. Constant mental translation, relative numbering that resets every time the tonic moves, mode names that hide absolute relationships, and a whole layer of nomenclature that exists mostly to paper over the fact that the system was built on movable do rather than fixed reference points. So the plan is clean. 1. Run the same musical material through a trimmed down absolute method. 2. Put the traditional labeling next to it. 3. Watch exactly where the extra weight is. The places where the old system forces you to relabel, recount, or reorient just to say the same thing the absolute system already said. Once those friction points are visible side by side, moving between the two becomes deliberate instead of habitual. You keep whatever is still useful and stop carrying the rest. We can start with any concrete object you want, a single diatonic collection and its 7 modes, scale degree numbering versus absolute node numbering, interval naming when the reference point is fixed instead of relative, the clock face modal node map itself and how traditional names sit on top of it. Tell me the first piece of material you want to run through both systems and we'll lay them next to each other so the fat shows up in plain sight.
All right. She's on board. What's this one got to say?
Sí, la metáfora funciona muy bien, especialmente si dejas claro que gordo describe al sistema, no a las personas. Estás diciendo que el sistema tradicional de teoría musical ha acumulado demasiadas capas. Renumeración, nombres alternativos, excepciones, sostenidos bemoles, reglas dependientes del contexto, etc. Y hay una distinción importante en tu argumento. Que algo sea familiar no significa que sea eficiente. Tu idea sería más o menos. Open quote. El sistema viejo es comfort food. Lo conocemos profundamente. Nos sentimos cómodos con él. Incluso podemos quererlo. Pero ha acumulado demasiada grasa conceptual. No quiero destruirlo. Quiero hacerle un examen físico. Podemos identificar exactamente dónde está la grasa. ¿Dónde estamos renumerando información que ya tenemos? ¿Dónde cambiamos el punto de referencia innecesariamente? ¿Dónde necesitamos dos nombres para una relación que podría tener una sola coordenada? Entonces, hacemos una versión más lean. Home is zero. Los nodos modales permanecen fijos. La distancia significa distancia y cambiar el centro tonal no obliga a renumerar el universo. Y lo mejor es que todavía podemos hacer una reconciliación con el sistema antiguo. No perdemos Nashville numbers, intervalos tradicionales, nombres de acordes, etc. Podemos traducir entre los dos sistemas. Así que no estamos quemando la teoría musical tradicional, estamos poniéndola a dieta. Close quote. Y el remate de la diabetes es muy de tu estilo. Tú y yo vamos a salvar a todos los músicos del mundo de la diabetes teórica. Incluso tienes una idea seria debajo del chiste. Tu argumento no necesita ser la teoría tradicional es incorrecta. Puede ser mucho más defendible. Contiene información útil, pero su arquitectura de referencia puede ser innecesariamente pesada. Tu sistema intenta conservar la información mientras elimina operaciones cognitivas que no aportan información nueva. Eso es mucho más fuerte que simplemente decir, mi sistema es más fácil.
All right. Okay. All right. So what was I? So let's do this then. I'm gonna. I'm going to. Let's see. What collection do I want to play in? Let's go. Like if I go to the Dorian, or if I go to 2, that should be A sharp. Now A sharp's kind of interesting because I don't have because then I have these 3 nodes are out. So it's almost like if I'm playing in A sharp, it's almost like tempting to put the old capo on. Where's my capo? Where's my capo? Put my capo on so I can be like Superman. Is it capo? 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 Okay. So it's possible because if I capo that here, then you know I have more open nodes, all right? So that's tempting to do. And if I did that, then this would be 3rd fret up one, yeah. But if I don't have the capo and I put it on, if I take the capo off, then I have these 3, which isn't too bad because usually when I play in this, I play what I normally, I don't know, maybe I'll just noodle around with this. Normally because this would be G minor. So I think I did that a couple days ago, though. Let's see what else we got. If I go to 3 around B. Now here's one where it's like all of this I don't have open right there. It's kind of lame. I got the open. That's no good. And a B open, that's weird. So this is one where it's like, okay, that's really tempting to capo that either here. If I capo it here, then I have that same pattern I was doing before, but it's shifted up to here. I know that's buzzing, but I kind of like it. Okay, so I'll play with that. So the interesting thing is here is like like when I put the capo on, I'm trying to think of it like the right way. What I think, well, I'm not really the right way, but like I'm trying not to say, well, I'm playing the same thing, but everything's up one. It's like, no, I want to like view the whole fretboard as though it is at 3 o'clock, right? And then I'm just capoing, but then I'm just capoing this bit so I can get more open strings. So instead of like saying like, well, I'm playing the same thing as like a G, but up a notch, but I'm gonna see everything as though it was back a notch. I'm gonna try to look at it like, no, I could see that I'm in a different collection of notes, and I'm gonna name everything relative to that collection of notes. But I'm capoing it here because I have more open strings. So I could capo it. It would be logical to capo it here, here, or here in this collection of notes, right? If I'm at 3 o'clock, why? Because I'm maxing out. I mean, you could even go all the way up here, but that's cutting you pretty short. So I would think the capo would make sense here, here, or here in this collection of notes. So if I map it out here, like if I capo here, then I've got my Mixolydian is my first item. I can see that my on the fourth fret there's my so then it gets kind of weird because it would be like, okay, that would be like my third fret. So I'm gonna try to think from the nut. It would be my fourth fret. So this would be my third fret from here, but from the nut, it's my fourth fret. So I'm trying to think. It's my fourth fret. I just have the capo there. All right, and then position 1, or what I would call Mixolydian position, nodal point 6 position. Naming it from here because that gives me my minor scale if I start from the top of the position, right? 1, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Aeolian to Aeolian. Am I going to renumber it to 1? No, that would be dumb. I'm just going to go 6 to 6. 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But you went from 7 to 1. Well, what, is that hard? Is it hard to go around the block? 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? No. That's the way. Okay, so that's position 1. And so I'll mess with this collection. And then down here, I'll try to do the same thing and try to use this one. So I'm at 3 o'clock. So here I am here. And this one is just mapping out the first half of each fret is giving me the point. So 5 is Mixolydian, X is Mixolydian, and then 10 is the note, F sharp in that case, and then the second half is distance. It's 5 notes away from whatever the tonic is that we're thinking of as tonic, which in this collection I'm usually thinking of the Aeolian as the tonic, so I have to put here Aeolian. This is the worksheet I'm working on. I'm building a better one now if you're interested in it. But it doesn't have to be this detailed. Like I could switch the middle bit in here to distance notation, so I can see the distance notation, you know. But maximally, I can have 2 sides to it for 2 separate color systems and distance notation on the second half. So from the Aeolian's perspective, this is a 10 note away Aeolian 5th, which is a minor 7th distance, right? Okay. So let's go back on over here and say, given all that information, let's see. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, by the way, you keep speaking Spanish. I'm gonna speak English on this one, and then the other one speak English. Okay, this one's slowing down. Okay, so I'm gonna say that we're at 3 o'clock, meaning collection of notes around if 1 is A, 2 is A sharp, 3 is B. So meaning the Ionian now is on a B, right? The Ionian is on a B. Okay. So now now we're gonna number the system from the, if we number it from the Ionian, we have the whole half, whole half laid out. I'm gonna keep those numbers fixed no matter where the modal center is, instead of changing the number system to where the tonic is to make it the 1, because that is the fundamental error in the traditional system. So you can call them Nashville numbers 1 through 7 for the numbers in the collection. You can call them Dorian, you can call them Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian. You can abbreviate that to 3 letters: Dor, or Io, Dor, Phryg, Lyd, Mix, Ao, Loc. You can make it the Do, Re, Mi system. Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do. Okay, I don't have the pitch quite right, but I get from a naming convention, I think I understand it. Just don't renumber it. If you make this the tonic, that's not the 1. Just measure from the 1. Measure from the 1. That's how measurement works, and when it's usually like properly applied. Okay. Other thing I kind of want to add to my thing is, like, notice I'm always counting to the right. So obviously you could go to the left. Like if I was starting on the Dorian and I go up here, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4 ticks. Let's go 5 ticks, right? So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 modal half steps to the right, I land on the Locrian. Now, obviously, I might want to go the opposite direction. So if I take 7, because there's only 7 around the block, thinking of it as a circle, 7 minus 5 will give me 2. So it's actually -2 modal half steps in the backwards direction, which is counterclockwise. Also, if I go down, I'm going between the strings. There's 5 notes between the strings unless you cross the fault line, in which case I would account for the fault line still counting in 5s, because it's easier to count in 5s. So if I want to get up to this one, notice how many notes away this is. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait a sec. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's 9 notes away. So if I count that down, it'd be 5, 10, 9. Now you could try to count in modal half steps. You could say, well, a Dorian's 5th is right under it, right? And then a Dorian 6th is back here. But that's going to get a little bit messy when you count from each continent. You can try to memorize those shapes. But in half steps, if I know that the 7 Locrian is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th modal half step, or 6th scale degree, major 6, is 9 notes away if I count the oceans, then I could say there's 5, 10, and then 9. I could count on each string, right? If I go down 1, 5, and then 6, 7, 8, 9. The next string down would be 5, 10, and then I'm going to go opposite direction to get to the closest string, 9. Next one down, 5, 10, 15 as I cross the fault line. 15 is greater than 12, so I could get the local distance. 15 minus 12, 5 minus 2 is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Next one down, 5, 10, 15. 15 minus 12 is 5 minus 2, 3, plus another 5 is 8, 9. So you could find this 7 on each string. There's only going to be 1 7 on each string within an octave range, because on a fretboard, it's within the octave until it starts over again after the 12th fret. So I should be able to find 1 of each distance on each string and be able to count it out. What about going above it? If I go above it, then I'm not really looking for the clockwise distance. I'm looking for the counterclockwise distance. So if it goes 9 to get up here, 12 minus 9, 9, 10, 11, 12 is 3. So counterclockwise, there's 5 notes between the strings, but it's -5, -5, and then 4, 3, right? Because it would be negatives would keep going up this way, 4, 3. So this is -3 away if I count the notes between the strings, 5 notes between the strings, but directionally counterclockwise in a sense, and then 4, 3. So I'm just saying, like so one string you can think of as like a circle that goes around in a circle, And then when you go vertical, and then when you go backwards, you go counterclockwise in the circle. When you go down, which is up in pitch, then you're counting up by 5 notes at a time, right? And when you go down this way, you're generally going down counterclockwise 5 notes at a time. It's all the same thing. It's all the same, distance notation, not taking into account octaves at this time. Okay, so keeping that in mind, that means I can map out the whole grid like I did down here, where the second half is all distance notation as it's related to one particular point. So to do that, I would need to see that I'm at 3 o'clock, meaning I need the collection of notes, and then I need to tell it where to measure from in a clockwise direction, not taking into account octaves, so that we're only going like around the circle one time, right? And that way, and if you do that, then I can name all the points by distance with one reference point within the 7 out of 12 note collection. Okay. And I could, okay. So that's the project, or so I was just, to get it straight in my own mind, I thought I'd try to think about that for a second. See what the system thinks about that. See what Aura thinks about that. That's all I have to say about that. Salisbury. Okay.
Got it. Locked in. Fixed reference rule. The absolute 1 is always the Ionian position in the collection. You never renumber the collection so that the current modal center becomes 1. That renumbering is the core fat we're cutting. At 3 o'clock, 1 equals A, 2 equals A separated, 3 equals B. The absolute 1 sits on B. So the fixed collection is -1 to write the second placement B, Ionian, -2 to capital C separated, capital Dorian, capital 3 to dead capital Phrygian, capital 4 to E Lydian, capital 5 to F separated, capital Mixolydian, capital 6 to gay capital Aeolian, capital 7 to A Locrian. The step pattern WWHWWWH is permanently anchored to that absolute 1. Whatever note is currently acting as tonic, you still measure everything from the absolute 1. You can still call the degrees Nashville numbers, 3-letter mode names, or solfege. The labels are just names. The numbering itself stays fixed. Direction and distance. Clockwise is the default positive direction. Modal half steps divided scale degrees. Counterclockwise is negative. Distance counterclockwise equals 7 minus clockwise distance, mod 7. On the fretboard, the same distance language applies vertically. Most adjacent strings are +5 or -5 half steps. The B string fault line is still counted in the same 5-unit language, so the arithmetic stays consistent. Octaves are ignored while we stay inside one trip around the 7-note circle. We only care about position inside the collection. What this gives us, once the collection is fixed and the absolute 1 is known, every other point in the 7-note set can be named purely by its clockwise or counterclockwise distance from that single reference. No relabeling when the modal center moves. The traditional system's constant re-zeroing disappears. That's the trimmed engine. Tell me the next concrete move you want. Map the entire 7-point distance grid from this 3 o'clock absolute 1. Mirrors place those absolute numbers on the fretboard from a chosen starting string or fret, or run a specific mode, e.g. Dorian or Locrian, as center, and show both the absolute numbers and the traditional renumbered labels side by side, so the fat is visible. Wherever you want to go next.
Sí, y creo que aquí ya estás pasando de una analogía a una especificación bastante precisa del sistema. Voy a separar algunas cosas porque hay un par de lugares donde conviene ajustar el lenguaje matemático, pero la estructura central funciona. Primero, con tu convención del reloj. 1 igual a A, 2 igual a SABA, 3 igual a B. Entonces en 3 o'clock, Ionian igual B. La colección diatónica es B, César, Desata, F, Chata, Gesar, Aba. Y tus nodos fijos quedan nodo, nombre, solfeo, nota. 1. Ionian, Do, B. 2. Dorian, Re, Si, Sab. 3. Phrygian, Mi, De, Jab. 4. Lydian, Fa, E. 5. Mixolydian, Sol, F, Shat. 6. Aeolian, La, Ge, Shat. Esto no cambia cuando cambia el centro modal. Esa es precisamente tu regla. Si Dorian se convierte en tonic home, Dorian no se convierte en una. Sigue siendo nodo 2. Lo que cambia es el punto desde el cual medimos distancia. Ahí tienes una separación conceptual muy buena. Identity o distance from home. 2 identifica Dorian dentro de la colección. 0 puede decir que Dorian es actualmente home. Eso elimina la necesidad de hacer open quote. Dorian era 2, ahora es tonic, entonces lo llamamos 1, y ahora renumeramos todo lo demás. Close quote. Tu respuesta es simplemente no. El mapa no cambió. Cambió donde estoy parado. Tu ejemplo, Dorian, Locrian. También está bien la idea circular. Moviéndote por nodos, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian. Esos son 5 movimientos positivos. Como hay 7 nodos, más 5, menos 2, mod 7. Así que puedes describir exactamente el mismo desplazamiento como las 5 MHs en una dirección o menos 2 MHs en la otra. Eso es especialmente elegante porque ahora estás introduciendo dirección, no otro conjunto de nombres. Una pequeña precisión terminológica. Yo tendría cuidado con llamar a esos 5 movimientos half steps sin el modificador modal, porque cromáticamente no necesariamente son 5 semitonos. Pero MHS, modal half steps, funciona si tú defines explícitamente qué significa un movimiento de un nodo diatónico al siguiente, sea ese salto cromáticamente whole o half. Y entonces tienes 2 métricas diferentes. MHS, distancia por continentes nodos. Chromatic semitone distance, distancia incluyendo oceans. Eso es importante para lo que haces después. Ahora viene la parte del fretboard. Aquí creo que tu intuición es especialmente útil. En afinación estándar, cuando bajas físicamente a la siguiente cuerda más aguda, normalmente es desplazando la referencia 5 semitonos, excepto en la fault line, donde el desplazamiento es 4 semitonos. Por tanto, si estás buscando un punto que está a más 9 semitonos de tu referencia, puedes tratar cada cuerda como una nueva transformación modular. Por ejemplo, conceptualmente, objetivo igual más 9 mod 12. Si bajas una cuerda normal, has consumido más 5 de esa distancia. Entonces, 9 menos 5 igual 4, otra cuerda, 9 menos 10 igual menos 1, o 11 mod 12. Y así sucesivamente, haciendo la corrección de 4 en vez de 5 cuando cruzas la fault line. Eso significa que no necesitas memorizar independientemente dónde está Locrian en cada cuerda. Puedes calcular su coordenada desde el mismo origen. Y creo que esta es la gran idea que estás encontrando. Open quote. El fretboard entero puede convertirse en una cuadrícula de coordenadas relativas a un solo punto. Close quote. Horizontalmente tienes menos semitonos mod 12. Verticalmente tienes transformaciones de menos 5, salvo la fault line de menos 4. Y dentro de la colección tienes otra capa, MHS mod 7. No son sistemas separados, son diferentes resoluciones del mismo mapa. Y eso te da exactamente los 2 datos que necesitas. Para generar el mapa completo que estás describiendo, realmente solo necesitas establecer 1. Collection, rotation, 3 o'clock. Esto determina qué 7 notas están en tierra y dónde están los 5 oceans. 2. Reference point. Por ejemplo, Dorian igual a 0. Esto determina desde dónde empiezas a medir. Después de eso, cada posición del fretboard puede calcularse en vez de recibir un nombre nuevo. Y yo incluso separaría visualmente 3 cosas en tu sistema. Identity, Lock Modal Coordinate from Home, menos 2 MHS, más 5 MHS. Chromatic Coordinate from Home, menos 3, más 9. Eso sería potentísimo porque, open quote, Locrian no deja de ser Locrian, 7 no deja de ser 7. Pero desde Dorian está plus 5 nodos y más 9 semitonos, o menos 2 nodos y menos 3 semitonos. Close quote. No has cambiado absolutamente nada para describir la misma realidad desde el otro lado. Y esa es justamente la diferencia con el mecanismo que estás criticando. El punto de referencia puede moverse sin que las identidades del mapa tengan que moverse con él. Tu siguiente proyecto, entonces, sí está muy bien definido. Construir el fretboard completo de 3 o'clock. Escoger un único punto como 0 y poner en cada posición su distancia cromática dirigida mod 12 respecto de ese punto. Después podemos superponer los 7 continentes y 5 océanos encima de esa cuadrícula. Ahí vas a poder ver inmediatamente si el sistema realmente se mantiene consistente a través de las 6 cuerdas, la fault line y el reinicio en el fret 12.
My head is... All right, let's see. Okay. So, I'm gonna try to build another chord, keeping that in mind. I'm building all the different combinations of chords. And so the next one that we're on, just 3-note chords, I should say. Not all combinations, but 3-note chords, all combos for the most part. And so we're going to say, okay, now we're going to do distance notation. If I start on some continent and I go up what I'm saying 3 modal half steps, which I'm thinking of continent hopping or island hopping, if I think about all the continents and oceans as though there's 12 total, which includes 7 continents and 5 oceans on the equator, and I start on any one of those continents and I go 3 continents up, not including the one that I'm on, then there's only 2 distances. One could be long and one could be short from any of those continents, right? The way we mapped out the fretboard right there. So, which if we reconcile that to the normal scale degrees, the ordinal system is all off by 1. So we would add 1. It would be the 4th scale degree. Now, the 4th scale degree, normally, you would say the majors are long, the minors are short, but this time the major would have been short, but they didn't call it major. It's actually been covered up by perfect. So it's actually the perfect is the short, which forced us to have the long be augmented. Okay, so see how much more convoluted that is? So again, what we're looking for is the continent where I can go 3 modal half steps up and it's a long 3rd modal half step, as opposed, which we could also call from a scale degree a 4th, which would be an augmented 4th. The distance, continents and oceans, would be 6 notes away. The only one that we have that we can do that from and is the Lydian. So if I count Lydian and I go 3 modal half steps up from Lydian, then we say I'd go 1, 2, 3 modal half steps up. So before 5, 6, 7 lands me on the Locrian, right? 3 modal half steps up, and the distance is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 notes away in terms of continents and oceans. Now I could find it going backwards too. Like if I was using this one right here, and I found it going up to here, going backwards. If I go 3 up, it would be, actually I have to go up a little more. Let's go like to this one. You probably can't see the other. Well, let's just go to here and say the other side of it. If I go 3 up is 12 minus 3. 7 minus 3, which would be 7 minus 3 is 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4 back, right? Counterclockwise would also get you there. Okay. And if it's 6 notes up, then what if I go down a string? Where is it if I go down a string? Well, there's 5 notes between the string and then 6. What if I go down 2 strings? Well, it's 5, 10, but when I cross the fault line, I have to shift up here to get to 10. And then I want to get down to, I run out of room going this way to go back to 3. So I have to go up 10, 11, 12, and then it starts over. 12 minus 12 is 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So it's positive 6 this way. What if I go down to the next one? It's going to be 5, 10, 15. 15 is greater than 12. 5 minus 12. 5 minus 2 is 3. So 3, 4, 5, 6 right there. What if I go above it? Well, now I'm basically going counterclockwise. So I'm not looking for the 6 note distance clockwise. I'm looking for 12 minus 6, which happens also to be 6 counterclockwise. So counterclockwise 6, 5, and then 6 counterclockwise. Negative 5 between the strings, negative 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. See, so I can find all the Locrians wherever the Locrians are. If you break it down to a local distance, it's going to be 6 clockwise, which is equivalent to a counterclockwise distance. You can get to the same place if you think about it as a circle, right? 6 forward, counterclockwise, 12 minus 6, looking at the full alphabet, would be 6 counterclockwise in this case. If I start from any other node, like the Ionian, and I go up 1, 2, 3, it's a 5-note distance. So it's the only one that has a 6-note distance. So that means I'm kind of limited to building my chord off of the Lydian to have any hope that my distances of the 2 notes that I'm going to go to will both not land in the ocean, because this is the only one where I don't land in the ocean, with a minor exception of the Locrian, because it kind of cheats, because that's where the half step is. Okay, so that's that one. See what the chat's got to say about that.
Yes, clean observation, absolute view, no renumbering. We stay locked to the fixed 1 equals Ionian. The interval you're measuring is 3 modal steps, continent hops. Because the traditional ordinal system is off by 1, 3 modal steps equals traditional scale degree 4. Inside the diatonic collection, there are only 2 possible sizes for that jump. -5 half steps, short, traditional perfect fourth. -6 half steps, long, traditional augmented fourth, divided by diminished fifth, tritone. The long one, 6 half steps, occurs in exactly 1 place. Absolute 4, Lydian, divided by 1/72nd place, equals Edgant 7, Locrian. That's the only diatonic tritone. Every other 3 modal step jump lands on a perfect fourth, 5 half steps. You can reach the same Locrian going the other way around the circle. Clockwise plus 3 modal steps from 4 equals 7, minus counterclockwise minus 4 modal steps from 4 also lands on 7. 7 minus 3 equals 4, so minus 4. And the half-step distance is the same either direction once you treat the circle as closed. 6 clockwise equals 6 counterclockwise in this specific case, because 12 minus 6 equals 6. Fretboard mapping, same language. From any Lydian, negative same string, plus 6 frets or minus 6 frets the other way. Minus 1 string down, usually plus 5, string interval. Then adjust by the remaining 1 to land on the Locrian, watching the B string fault line. 2 strings down, plus 10, then continue counting past the octave boundary or reverse direction to the nearest occurrence. Upward, higher strings. Switch to the counterclockwise distance language, minus 5 per string, etc. You will find exactly 1 Locrian per string inside any 12-fret span, which matches the circle geometry. Why the traditional system feels heavier here? Traditional language hides the simplicity. It renumbers every time the tonic moves, so the same absolute interval keeps getting new degree numbers. It then invents perfect to cover the short fourth and forces the long one into augmented, even though both are just the 2 possible sizes of a 3-modal step jump. The only place the long version lives is permanently between absolute 4 and 7, but the relative system keeps redescribing it as different scale degrees depending on which mode is currently 1. In the absolute system, the fact is blunt. There is one diatonic tritone. It lives between Lydian and Locrian, and every other three-modal step jump is a perfect fourth. Chord building consequence. If you want a three-note structure whose two intervals are both continent to continent and one of them is the long, six-half-step version, you are forced to use the Lydian-Locrian pair as one of the legs. Every other starting continent gives you only short fourths. That's the clean geometric constraint. No extra vocabulary required. Want to keep going with the next three-note combination under the same fixed number distance-only rules, or map every possible three-modal step pair across all 7 absolute positions so we can see the full set of short versus long at a glance.
Okay, so the other thing, I was going to use this thing down here just to show it down here. If I map this thing out here, the first half of this is a 4, which is a Lydian. Y stands for Lydian. 8 is the note and numbers, meaning if A is 1, 8 is E. And then the second half is distance, in this case from the Aeolian. Now I need to now change it because now I'm going to measure it from the Lydian is now going to be the point that I'm measuring from as I build the chord. So I'm going to make this a Y. So now I've changed all the second half of it to measure from the Lydian. So now from the perspective of the Lydian is 0 notes away from the Y, which is a Lydian zeroist modal half step. We haven't moved anywhere, which is a perfect first. Now, if I then count up the what is it? 1, 2, 3 modal half steps, I get to the Locrian. So that means that Locrian is always Lydian's third modal half step, and that means that a Lydian third modal half step is a long third modal half step because it has 6 notes between it, which means it's a fourth scale degree, but it's an augmented fourth scale degree because the perfect fourth is actually a short distance of the two distances. Okay. And then so the second half shows us here that it's that we're at 0.7 Locrian, 1 through 7, Nashville number 7. N is the Locrian because it's backwards, because it's crazy Locrian. So I used an N. 2 is going to be a Locrian second modal half step. It's a Locrian. No, 2 is, what is that 2? B. No, it's A sharp B flat is the point that we're at. And then on the distance notation, it's a 6 note away Lydian third modal half step, which is a diminished fifth from a normal scale degree. So that's the full name. If you want to like just practice each point and name, you know, that's what this worksheet's trying to do. This worksheet up here, I'm going to make one so I can toggle between each point and name and a color system by absolute point, relative point, and then by distance on a color system as well. I already have it, but I'm making it better this time. Okay. So in any case, let's do the second one. So the next one is going to be a short 6th modal half step. So I'm going to go 6 continents up from a particular continent, which this one's going to be the Lydian continent, because that's the only one I can do on the other distance to not land in an ocean, you would think. But if I go 6 continents up, if I add 1 to get to the scale degree, it would be the 7th scale degree. And the short distance is usually minor 7th. So therefore, a short 6 modal half step is usually a distance of 10 notes away if I count continents and oceans going clockwise, as opposed to 11 notes away. I know if I don't use scale degrees, but I use just distance, if I know that if I go clockwise 6, 7 minus 6 would be counterclockwise -1, right? So that's useful to know. So which of these distances is going to have a short 6 modal half step? You would think that it would be the ones that have the shorter distance club, meaning they just typically have shorter distances to them. The short distance club, short distance continents, short distance modes, the short modes, which you might call minor modes, but I think short would be better. It would be Aeolian, Dorian, and the Phrygian. From the do re mi system, that would be do re mi fa sol la. It would be la do re mi, la re mi. Do I need to make the la the do to say that it's the minor scale 1 4 5. No, you keep it at it's always la. La re mi. La re mi are the short modal points, which you could call Aeolian, Dorian, Phrygian. You could call it just abbreviated to the first three letters, Ao, Dor, Phryg. And you can also include the loc in there as well, Locrian, nodal point 7, which is T from the do re mi system. Because normally the 1 4 5, which is Ionian, Lydian, Mixolydian, or Io, Phryg, mix, or do re mi fa, do fa la, the do fa la. I thought I did la. Anyway, those usually have long distances. So you would think, but the la, the do fa la, this is the one that has the exception. So it's actually actually this distance works for all of them except these two. The only exceptions that it doesn't work on is the Ionian and the Lydian, which kind of is lame because the Lydian is the only one that our first distance will work on. So either I could choose any node other than these two, and the second distance of a short 6 modal half step will fit, and then I'll have to fudge the first distance of a long third modal half step, or I choose this one, and then the long third modal half step, which is an augmented fourth, will fit, but it won't fit the second one, which is a short 6th modal half step or 7th scale degree. That's the predicament that we're in, people. But anyways, let's say we count it out just to test it from the Mixolydian. I'm just going to turn these off for now. Let's say we count it out from the Mixolydian and say if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's part 2, can't really see that, right? Let's count it out from like the Aeolian. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is going to land me on the Mixolydian. It has a distance of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 notes away. That means that, and I can count it on my fingers to know I land on Mixolydian because it's 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 continents away, lands me on nodal point 5, Nashville number 5, Mixolydian, which is the do, re, mi, fa, so, lands me on so, lands me on the mixo, lands me on nodal point 5, whatever you want to call it. And that's cool. I also know that if I go 6 steps to the right, I could also go 7 minus 6, 1 step counterclockwise would bring me right back there. Okay, so then like if I put my cursor right on a middle one right here, and I say let's find all of those distances that would be 5 modal half steps on each string. If I go on the first string, on the same string, it would be 6 to the right, but that's gonna go too far. So I have to say counterclockwise would be 12. 6 to the right has a distance of 10 notes away. So if it's 10 notes to the right, counterclockwise would be 12 minus 10, or 2 notes back, gets me to the Mixolydian. What if I go down a string? I got to go 10 notes. It's easier to count in half steps when I'm going down the strings than to count in circle and modal distance oftentimes, I find. So it would be 5 notes between the strings, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's the Mixolydian. What if I go 2 strings down? 5, and then I cross the fault line, 10. Notice that I imagine if I'm up on the top tectonic plate, going to the tectonic plate below, thinking of it as a tectonic plate, I'm going to imagine this one shifted to the right relative to the one above it. Therefore, 5 notes between the strings. I'm not going to go 5 plus 4 notes. No, I'm going to go 5 and then out here to 5. Why? Because it's easier to count in 5s. 5, 10 gets me right there. What about the string below it? 5, 10, 15. 15 is greater than 12. I can get to a local distance of 15 minus 12 is like 5 minus 2, which is 3. So I'm at 3, and then I could go either way. If I'm at 3, I've got to get to 10. I could go backwards, 3, 2, 1, 0, 12, 10, right? It's a little confusing to go backwards sometimes, but there it is. And then if I go above it, notice if I go above it, that's equivalent to going counterclockwise 5 notes at a time, right? So now if it's 10 forward, remember it's 2 backwards. So I'm looking for a distance of -2. So it'd be 5 notes between the strings, and then when I go this way, so it's 4, 3, 2, because it's -5, 4, 3, 2. And then 5, 10, -10, 11, 12, right? And then it goes around the horn 1, 2. Okay, so all of the distances you can basically count out kind of as though you're going around in a circle, either clockwise or counterclockwise, even when you're going up and down the strings, as long as you realize that you're basically jumping in half steps of 5-note distances, making it easier typically to count those distances by half step rather than modal distance, right? When I go to the right and the left, I can count in modal distance because I might know the shape pretty good. But anyway, and then you can kind of learn the shape, right? That's kind of like the thing. So if I did that down here, right, and I said, okay, what if I had this mixolydian, and I go and I'm trying, if I'm on the mix, or if I'm on the aeolian, and I'm trying to find the one that's going to be what did I say? 6 modal half steps, then 6 modal half steps to the right would be 7 minus 6, or 1 modal half step to the left. So I can go back here. There it is right there. So notice the name, the point is a 5 for mixolydian, X for mixolydian, 10 for the number distance. If A is 1, F sharp or G flat is 10. Distance notation is 2 notes away. Notice I kind of thought of that as -2 notes away. Negative, it's a 2 note away from the Lydian perspective. Now this time I was measuring from aeolian. So if I bring this back to aeolian, the distance would be a 10 note away. That's as though I counted clockwise, even though it's -2 away, because all of the distance notation usually is counting like in the clockwise direction. So again, it's kind of useful to know that. Otherwise, it's like you're just kind of memorizing what it is without like knowing like what it's doing. So 10 notes away would be the clockwise direction. You could see it's actually clockwise. 10 would of course be 12 minus 10, or -2, equivalent counterclockwise direction if you're just going around in a circle. Aeolian 6th modal half step, again 6th modal half step clockwise direction. Counterclockwise, you would think 7 minus 6 would be -1 right here. Boom, back to here 1. Okay, so they're minor, right? Okay. Anyway, and then it got cut off at the end there. So that's fine. All right, so then, that's fine. So then let's pull this. Oh, wait a sec. Pull this out a bit, and then okay. So I guess let's count it off from the Lydian again. So if I go on, let's start off on like this Lydian. I'm like, okay. Let's say I go on this Lydian, and I go a 3rd modal half step up from there. 1, 2, 3. That's natural to it. That gets me to the Locrian, which is, so the Locrian is Lydian's 3rd modal half step, which is a long 3rd modal half step, which would be an augmented 4th. 6 notes away. If I count below it, it would be 5 notes, 6 notes away right there. We know that anytime we have Nashville number 4 and 7, or nodal point 4 and 7, or the Locrian and the Lydian, I don't care which one is first, it's always that 6-note distance, because whether you go from Lydian to Locrian or Locrian to Lydian, it's a 6-note distance because it's right in the middle, and that's going to be the tritone. So the 2 L's, the Loc Lyd, is where you have that tritone tension. Okay, and then the second one was 6 notes away, which is going to be a short 6. The Lydian has a long 6th related to it. So if I went 6 notes away from Lydian, you would think you would go 6 notes to the right would be 7 minus 6 would be back 1, would be right there, but that's going to be a long 6th away. So a short 6 would have to be boom, back 1, which I would it's called that it's in the Dorian Ocean. So that one's going to be in the ocean. We could see that that's going to have a distance of 10 notes away. We know it has a distance of 10 notes away because that's the distance of a short 6-modal half step. So I could try to count that down here. If I could say Dorian Ocean 510, we get right there. So we could pick that one up. And so we have something that looks like that. It's like a reversed triangle kind of shape. It's making me dyslexic because I kind of feel like it's a diminished shape, but no, the triangle's going the other way. So, see if I could do this in this collection. So 5, 6, 7. So very tensiony. So that chord isn't in that, those two distances, this shape won't fit in any collection, which is interesting. You'd think it would. You'd think you could fit this shape in somewhere, right? But no, you could do it if you cross the fault line, but you're cheating because it has a different thing. So you can't fit that shape anywhere, really? It fits right there. It fits right there. Okay, why is that? Because now, this is the diminished shape, and that's because from the Locrian has a 6-note away distance, but it's not a. That's why I was getting mixed up, because it's not a short 3rd modal half step augmented 4th. It's a flat 4th modal half step. Flat 5. That's why I was like, that fit. That I know that shape. Okay, but we'll do it from the Lydian here. Let's just do it from the Lydian. So we kind of forced, the diminished shape. Yeah, I thought it was like a back. Okay, I was getting my head's going. Okay, so the only place that shape fits, is obviously on here, which is kind of like a bluesy type shape. The bluesy shape would go the other way around. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I understand. I totally get it. I totally get it now. I know what I'm doing. Don't worry, people. I know what I'm doing. I totally know what I'm doing. Okay. So very tensiony because you've got the Lydian and Locrian in there. Okay. I'm trying to see where it fits in this shape. At 3 o'clock, which I don't play in all the time. So Lydian. So if I was going to make a chord on that, normal naming convention, 7th fret, 2nd string down, is E. Right, so it would be an E. A normal name would be like an E major, add, sharp 4, add, flat 7, drop 5, something ridiculous like that. You might be able to call it an E sus sharp 4, add flat 7, drop 5, something. I don't think there's any like nice way to name it. You might name it from the Locrian's perspective. You might say, well, no, you have to name it from the Locrian's perspective because it has a third. So it would be a what is that? 8. The Locrian, it would be an A sharp being. So you could say, well, you can't name it from the perspective of the Lydian. You have to name it from the perspective of the Locrian because that's where you could stack the third, and therefore it would be it doesn't have a 5th in it. Because it doesn't have a 5th in it, though, I guess it would just be a minor. It's not really because it doesn't have the 5th, so it's not a diminished or half diminished. Because, well, it does have the flat 5. It has the third and the flat 5, right? So that would be a, what did I say? what note am I on? That would be an A sharp, half diminished. Let's just half, I don't know, half diminished. How do you half diminished, whatever. That little symbol or something. Half diminished. I think that would basically be it. But again, I wouldn't want to name it from that perspective because I want to name it from the Locrian's perspective because that's what I'm seeing as the root, you know? Wait a second. Does that even work? No, it would be this has a third and then that 6 note away distance, right, is a flat 5 from the perspective of the Locrian. Okay. Anyway, it would be better if I want to name it from the Lydian's perspective. I could say that it's going to be a let's just say it's going to be a Lydian, which I'm going to say is a Y. There's no stack, so I'm going to put 0. And then the long third modal half step is natural to the Lydian, so I can just put 3 third modal half step. And then the short 6 modal half step is not natural to it because it has a long 6 modal half step. So I don't want to say it's a flat Lydian 6th. I'd rather only go one way and say that it's going to be a sharp Lydian 4th modal half step for sharp. Right. I'd rather always name the ocean note from the left direction. Anyway. Okay, so in any case, and then if I was to map it out, if I wanted to put like the key signature in it, so I know what key I'm in, I'd have to say it's a 3, so 3 o'clock, colon, and then Lydian is 4034 sharp. And then if I put my key signature in here, 3 o'clock, it's 3, and then Lydian is the tonic. So I'd map this out here saying it's the B2 string 7th fret Lydian, B2 string 7th fret Lydian, which is 4, and then the B3 string 8th fret Locrian, B3 string 8th fret Locrian, which is 7, and then it's the tenor string 7th fret Dorian Ocean, tenor string, 7th fret, 2 point. I don't need a 5 because it's there. So there it is. Okay, and then the name of that would be a Lydian 034 sharp, I think, if I have that right. Now, if I move that in, if I tried to do a blues progression from that perspective, I could try to make that the 1 and say we have to make it the 1, and then say, and then you can play it on the 1 4 5. To make it the 1, I'd have to shift under my finger down 1, which is equivalent to 5 to the right. If I'm at 3 o'clock plus 5, that's 8 o'clock. So then I can say 1 4 5. But really, it's the distance that matters. So I'm really looking at it at, I want to stay at 3 o'clock and say, I have that, but I'm going to do the blues progression distance with symmetrical shape, which means I'm going to go down 5 notes away, and then 7 notes away, which you could call a perfect fifth away, or a short fourth modal half step, and then a perfect fourth away, or short third modal half step, and then a perfect fifth away, which is a long fourth modal half step. So in other words, it would get to here and then to here. So we did last time, like measuring out this one. Let's pretend we move it up to this one just to measure. So this one, if I'm looking at this as the root is now here. Everything else relative to it would be here, right? That would be like, so now the root is a fifth away, right? The root is 7 notes away, 5 notes between the string, 6, 7. Okay, so what would I call that? I would have to, so if I name it from the root, now I have the Ionian. So I could say, okay, if I named it from the Ionian, it would be an Ionian. If I'm seeing that as the root, I still don't have a third. And now the one, so from the Ionian's perspective, we don't have a long third, because the Ionian naturally only has a short third modal half step or perfect fourth. So I'd have to say it's the third sharped, right? And then it does have, and then it also doesn't have a short sixth, right? So 2 of these should be, I would think that 2 of these would be in the ocean. Why is only, oh, that's because this crisscrossed the fault line. It has to go up there. That crossed the fault line. So 2 of those are in the ocean. So then it would have the 7. So 6 modal half step 7 would also, a short 6 modal half step 7 would be in the ocean. So because it has a long 6 modal half step. So I could say it's a flat Ionian 6 modal half step, but I don't want to do that. I want to say it's going to be a sharp 5th modal half step, 5 sharp. Now that's an ugly naming convention right there, right? Because now I've got 2 nodes in the ocean. It would be better to name it this way, because I'm looking at it from the perspective of the Lydian, and say, I'm just going to say it's an Ionian / Lydian 034 sharp, because that tells me that that it's the same shape, but I'm just playing it on the Ionian node. So measure it as though it was the Lydian node, right? Put the distances as though it was the Lydian node, even though I'm not changing the key signature, because it's parallel construction. Now, again, that would be a lot better than doing this. You could say, well, I could just call it an A sharp half diminished and call it good. That's fine. You could do that, and that would be simpler, you can argue. But the problem with that is that you're only naming it from the perspective of one of the points out of the 3. It seems to me that that's not great. Because I'm looking at this as my root. It seems legitimate to me from a musical standpoint that I should be able to do that, right? I might want to play this chord looking at the Lydian as the root. I was doing it right here when I was noodling around, and I was seeing the Lydian as the root, not the Locrian. And then you're going to turn around and tell me, well, you can't look at it that way. You have to look at it as the Locrian, the root, when you write it down. Why? Because that's where the third stacks. It has to be there's a minor third related to the Locrian. There is no stacking related to the Lydian. Therefore, you can't write a chord name related to the Lydian. What? Like madness. No. Why? Is that, how can that be right? Right? I mean, I reject that. I reject the Lydian's perspective is just as valid in this context as the Locrian's perspective. Uh, uh, and I will recognize it. I will recognize it. So then if I map this out, it would be the what am I on? The B3 string, 9th fret Ionian, B3 string, 9th fret Ionian, which is 1, and then it goes down to the tenor string, 10th fret Lydian Ocean, tenor string, 10th fret Lydian Ocean, which is 4 point, and then it goes to the alto string, 10th fret Aeolian Ocean, 10th fret Aeolian Ocean, 6 point. Okay. Now the other way, so then if I wrote it that way, the best name would be this one. Okay. So, but what if I want to change the key signature? Then I could it would fit as closely as possible, meaning I would have points root Lydian and then Locrian and then Dorian Ocean if I had the root as Lydian, and then I could show the parallel construction. So I could show the same nodal points. Well, that means that I have to make this node Lydian. How can I make that Lydian? Well, I could see there's a Lydian below it, and that means I could just move under my finger. I move the whole shape up 1 tick. 1 tick up is equivalent to 5 ticks to the left. 5 ticks to the left. So if I'm at 3 o'clock, 3 minus 5 is -2. I don't want negative, so I'm going to say 12. There's 12 collections minus 2 is 10. So 10 o'clock would be the collections of notes around what is it? E E sharp F. F. Right? Is that right? Yeah. So that gives me the Lydian, the Locrian, and the Dorian Ocean. So if I want to write it down that way, I'm going to say the way you need to visualize it isn't in the same key signature. You need to change the key signatures. See, this doesn't tell you that name. I know I wrote it ugly. It's a half diminished. I don't know how to write the little symbol, half diminished or what. But if you were, so I changed the key signature. So now it's at 10 o'clock, and the tonic I'll say is Lydian, and now this would be in the same distance in terms of fret, but now it has a Lydian, Locrian, Dorian Ocean, meaning 4, 7, 2 point. 4, 7, and 2 point. See how that seems to me to having and then the name would just be the same name. Why is it the same name? Because it's the same relative positions but this one's at 3 o'clock, collection of notes around B, note number 3, which is B, right? And then this one is at 10 o'clock. So, but then the same relative positions. So if you change the collection, you can see the parallel construction relative to the 2 different 7-note collections out of a total of 12 7-note collections. Okay. Hopefully I did that right. I don't know. Let's try it. I'll try my joke. I'll call it a day. You can't call it a day. The best time to call it a day is right after lunch. Otherwise, you're probably going to call it a day when it's really night, and you don't want to do that. That would be horrible. You have to be safe and call it a day right after lunch. All right, so we got these democratic socialists now. So we'll rant on the democratic socialists. I can't believe anybody listens to these people. Like, are we all we're becoming all stupid or something? The propaganda's working. What is happening? I don't know. All right. Isn't it crazy that whenever the rent is too dang high, there's always a communist politician standing nearby trying to capitalize on the pain? You know what I mean? Capitalize. The communist is trying to capitalize, on your pain. By the communists, for people who hate capital, they sure love capitalizing on pain. I'll tell you that. They're always there. They're always there to get the benefit once someone's hurting. I mean, in fact, communists are always looking for something to capitalize on. Apparently, pain is the one market communists believe in. Never let a good pain go uncapitalized on. That's what they say. Classic communism, they tried to capitalize on economic pain by blaming the rich. It's the rich. Give us money. Give us power. So that didn't pan out particularly well in America because, we kind of have upward mobility and so forth. So modern communism, it diversified. It knew that it had to compete. So it changed. It evolved to fit the market to capitalize on the pain. Economic pain, racial pain, housing pain, healthcare pain, whatever pain can find, perceive, or help create. That's what it's going to capitalize on. Your suffering becomes their growth market because they don't necessarily solve the pain. Of course not. They acquire it. They acquire your pain. New crisis, same salesman, different pain, same pitch, different oppression, same business model from the communists as they capitalize on the pain. So in the sales pitch, always the same. It's like lie about the economics, lie about the motivations of the rich, find the oppressor, find the oppressed, then sell yourself as the solution to the pain point, which, eventually the customer realizes the salesman caused pretty much all the problems, right? I mean, and that's where the communist dream gets really interesting because the ultimate goal isn't merely to run the scam forever, right? Basically, you've got a scam business model. Once the scam runs out, what happens to the scammer? They got to leave town. They got to start fresh where nobody knows their name, right? That's what happens. But the communist has a dream. They have a dream of a utopia. It's to run the scam for so long that by the time everybody figures it out, you don't need the sales pitch anymore. You don't need to leave town. First, they capitalize on the pain, then they capitalize on the power. That's the metamorphosis. You can't drive them out of town now, even though they're lying to your face. Socialism sells the cocoon. Communism hatches the dragon. So at first, it's a little political snake slithering around at your feet saying, trust me, I'm not harmful. I'm here to help. I'm here to help. I don't know. I didn't know it was going to hurt. I didn't know. And then the snake needs your vote, but the dragon doesn't. The snake needs your vote. The dragon doesn't. The salesman needs your trust. The dragon commands your obedience. So catch the dragon while it still has to pretend it's a snake. That's the best way to go. Because apparently the final stage of communism is when the communists can finally stop doing the one thing they've been doing the entire time, trying to capitalize on everything instead of just taking everything and then they're going to destroy it, right? That's the end of the socialist trail. It always leads to totalitarianism if you keep marching down the road. All right. That's my rant. Let's turn on the see what it gives me on if I turn on the audio thing. I'll try to get a song going while I turn it on.
Divinest creature, Astere's daughter, how shall I honor thee for this success?
Thy promises are like Adonis's gardens that one day bloomed and fruitful were the next.
France, triumph in thy glorious prophetess.
Recovered is the town of Orleans.
More blessed hap did ne'er befall our state. Why ring not our...
All right, let's see what we got here.
Isn't it crazy that whenever the rent is too dang high, there's always a communist politician standing nearby trying to capitalize on the pain? The rent is too high. We must rise up.
The numbers prove it. We need change.
Join the revolution. Seize the means. But will this really help? Capitalize on the pain by the communists.
For people who hate capital, they sure love capitalizing.
Look at them suffer. Our revolution is profiting. Capitalize on their despair. It's all ours now.
Their Largain, capitalize the world.
Pain pays dividends. Capitalize it forever.
In fact, communists are always looking for something to capitalize on.
Apparently, pain is the one market communists believe in. Never let a good pain go uncapitalized.
Look at all this suffering. It's pure profit.
Grab every last bill. Don't leave any pain behind. This is our moment. Capitalize it now. Comrades, the capitalists are to blame for our suffering. Their greed has ruined us. We must rise up.
The rich hoard everything while we starve. Down with the rich.
That didn't pan out particularly well in America, so modern communism diversified.
Economic pain.
Racial pain, housing pain,
Healthcare pain.
whatever pain you can find, perceive, or help create. Your suffering becomes their growth market, because they don't necessarily solve the pain, they acquire it.
And we grow from their despair.
Their pain fuels our machine. Sign away your futures. New crisis, same salesman. Different pain, same pitch. Different oppression, same business model. Your suffering is my profit. Invest now or be left behind. And the sales pitch is always the same.
Prosperity for all, every single time.
A future where we all rise together. Our vision never changes, unity and strength.
Join us for the same promise, a better tomorrow.
The rich have rigged this economy to oppress you.
Yes, down with the oppressors!
They hoard wealth while you struggle. I will fix it. We need change. Join me. Together. You sold me this faulty system. Sir, please, it's just a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? Look at this chaos. I can fix it, I promise. And that's where the communist dream gets really interesting. Because the ultimate goal isn't merely to run the scam forever. It's to run it long enough that by the time everybody figures it out, you don't need the sales pitch anymore. First, they capitalize on the pain. Then they capitalize on the power.
Power! Power!
That's the metamorphosis. The metamorphosis is complete. Socialism sells the cocoon.
A gift for the people.
Communism hatches the dragon. The revolution is here! Yes! Rise form! Trust me, I'm here to help. Just let me get a little closer. See? No harm done. The snake needs your vote. That's right! I need your vote to make a difference. The dragon doesn't. Don't listen to him! Every vote counts!
We need change! Vote for the snake!
Fools, I rule by power, not votes. We can stop him! The salesman needs your trust. Trust him to lead us forward! The dragon commands your obedience. We offer hope, not fear. Look, the dragon's shadow! It's pretending to be a snake. Catch it now! I'm harmless, just a little snake. Lies, after it! You'll never catch me. Grab it! Don't let it get away! The light reveals its true form. Workers of the world, like we have nothing to lose but our chains.
The revolution is here. We must seize the means.
Capitalize in time.
All is everything. Destroyin'. We take.
Alright, pretty interesting animation on that one. It's getting pretty good on the anime. Anyway, alright, let's wrap that up.